Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you once again everyone for joining. So whatever little we are able to discuss and understand from the great scriptures is only thanks to His Divine Grace Ekti Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada, who devoted the maximum number of years of his life to translating all these great scriptures, without whose mercy we wouldn't have access to any of these great literatures. So yeah, before going into today's session, just a very, very brief background as to what has been happening, what I've been discussing in the previous verses or the previous chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we've been discussing about the daughters of Swayambhuva Manu. That was covered first. And Daksha's sacrifice, of course, that was covered in much detail by the previous speakers. And then now, in this going forward, he's going to cover the sons of Swayambhuva Manu. So before going into the sons, before talking about the sons of Swayambhuva Manu, that is Uttanapad, Priyamvrat and others, he is going to talk about his siblings, Swayambhuva Manu's siblings, because we all, as been nicely described in the Bhagavatam, Swayambhuva Manu, he was a self-born son of Lord Brahma. So apart from Swayambhuva Manu, he had many other siblings as well. Initially, he talks about the 4 Kumaras, then all the great rishis, Narada, and then Swayambhuva Manu. And then we see the descendant line of irreligion. He talks about that as well, the descendant line of irreligion, as that's already been covered in the previous sessions. So we won't go into detail. And then previous speaker must have covered how irreligion and falsity, they give rise to the next descendants, that is bluffing and cheating. That has been covered in the previous verse. So we see that how Brahma, even though he gives rise to the great sages, the great devotees. For example, who is Swayambhuva Manu? Swayambhuva Manu is one of the 12 great Mahajanas, the 12 great devotees from whom we get the signs of devotion. But along with that, we see his siblings, like religion, falsity, and all the other descendants. So we see that birth and parentage is no guarantee of character and behavior. But so it's more like how we mold ourselves. That is more important than just birth and just parentage. So going forward, the sons of Brahma, the line continues. So let us see from here. Yeah, so can one of the devotees kindly read this verse? What is showing on the screen? Any one of you. Kadam Kanan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Are you able to see that on the screen?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay. Can you kindly read that verse?
Should I read, Prabhu?
Yeah. Just read the verse. The verse.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah. Is it
Hare
seen?
Krishna, please
Yeah,
accept my respectful obeisance to
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the Vaishnava spiritual. Tayo sambhaval lobho nikritischa mahamate tapya krodascha himsacha
Very
yat
good.
duruktihi sevasa kali.
Thank you very much. And can one of you, some other person, read the word-to-word translation also, please?
Please, can I
Yeah.
try?
Yeah. Please.
Okay. Tayo, those two. Samabhavat, we are born.
Yes.
Labhaha, greed. Nikritihi, cunning. Cha, and Mohamate, O great soul. Tabhayam, from both of them. Krodha, anger. Cha, and Himsa, envy. Cha, and Yat, from both of whom. Durukitihi, harsh speech. Sasha, sister. Kalihi, Kali.
Thank you so much. And probably Vishnupadi Mataji can read the translation.
Maitra told Vidura, O great soul, from Dambha and Maya were born greed and Nikriti, or cunning. From their combination came children named Krodha, anger, and Himsa, envy. And from their combination were born Kali and his sister Durukti, harsh
Thank you so
speech.
much. Harsh. Thank you so much. So we'll read the next verse as well before going into the discussion. Yeah. Probably Nandavaraj Prabhu, can you read the verse?
Hare Krishna, Dharma Pranam.
Okay.
Duruktav kari adhata bhayam vityam cha satama tayascha mithunam yagne yatana niraya tatha.
Thank you very much. Can another devotee read the word-to-word meanings, please?
Duruktu in Durukti.
Yeah.
Kali, Adhatta means produced. And Bhayam, fearlessness.
Fearfulness, yes. Continue, Prabhu.
Mritum, death. Cho, and Shattama, O great, all good men. Toyo, of those two. Cho, and Mithunam, by combination. Yagya, were produced. And Yatana, excessive pain. Niraya, hell. And Tatha as well.
As well. Thank you. Can another devotee read the translation?
Prabhu, I'll read. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody can read this.
Yeah.
O greatest of all good men, by the combination of Koli and her speech were born children named Mritu, death, and Bhiti, fear. From the combination of Mritu and Bhiti came children named Yatana, excessive pain, and Niraya, hell.
Thank you very much. Thank you so nicely for reading that. So let's see what has been explained in that verse. So as we see very nicely, very systematically, Bhagavatam explains how from bluffing and cheating, the next what is resultant from that is greed and cunning. We saw in terms of the descendants. And from greed and cunning, the next descendants are automatically anger and envy. And then harsh speech and Kali. And then automatically fear and death. And finally the destination, pain and hell. So we saw in a very progressive manner, it says how all these qualities lead ultimately to pain and hell. So when we see again the other words, we might know the normal meaning of that: bluffing, cheating, greed, cunning, anger and envy, harsh speech. So I was thinking, what about Kali? So why does he mention Kali there? So Kali, again, when he describing the qualities of Kali Yuga, we see quarrel and hypocrisy. This very much comes in. This is a very much feature of this age. And also in the Bhagavad Gita, one of the verses, when there is a Kalim, so they talk about forest or quagmire or delusion. So because of this, we fall into a quagmire or delusion. So that automatically we fall into that into delusion in that quagmire because of these qualities. So when I was reading this verse, is automatically, which chapter comes in mind for you when these descendants of Brahma are described? Can any one of you say which chapter of Bhagavad Gita comes to mind? So this 16th chapter, 16, when he is talking about all the demoniac qualities. So I was thinking, here in the Bhagavatam, they are given in a summary what has been described in great detail in the 16th chapter. The Lord describes to Arjuna all the demoniac qualities. He goes into great detail. So here, this particular verse, he describes his verses. So can one of you read this verse?
Krishna Prabhu, I'll read.
Yeah.
Dambo darpa abhinascha rodha parushyam evacha ajnanam cha bhyasatasya parthas sampadam asurim.
Thank you very much. And one of you read the translation. Nalnikant Prabhu.
Can I try, Prabhu?
Yeah, please. Just the translation.
Okay, yeah.
Word to
Pride,
word.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Partha.
Very good.
Pritha.
Thank you very much. So automatically, all these qualities, what we saw described in Bhagavatam, the Lord has described as these belong to the Asuric nature. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness of speech, and obviously ignorance and delusion. All this belong to the demoniac nature. And this automatically, towards the end of this chapter, he says these automatically lead to hell. Again, we remember this from the Bhagavad Gita. These qualities automatically lead to the unholy destination. Again, one of you, can you read this verse? Nalnikant Prabhu, probably. Yeah.
Trividam.
Yeah, Nalnikant Prabhu is reading. Yeah.
Okay. Trividam narakashidam.
Yeah.
Dvaram nashanam atmanaha kamakrodascha tatha lobhas tasmad etat trayam tyajet.
Thank you very much. And Abhash Prabhu, can you read the translation?
There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul.
Degradation of the soul. So he has given the formula. Go to hell. No? Lust, anger, and greed. The three gates. The three gates leading to hell. And I'm also thinking that these are the three obstacles to get out of hell. These three things won't allow us to get out of hell. Lust, anger, and greed. These are like the three guardians standing at the gates. They'll allow us into hell, but they won't allow us to get out. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we also see that what is the source of these three things? The lust, anger, and greed. What is the source? Sorry.
Rajoguna is the source.
Rajo, very good, very good. You remember that, yes. So which verse is that? Which we will see that. Huh? So this very nice, this cycle, if you remember in the Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter also, a similar causal chain is given. This is the cause of this. This is caused by this. So very nicely, very logically, the Lord explains how one small dust particle, one small contamination can ruin the entire thing. We'll see this here in this verse. So again, Vaikunteshwar Prabhu, can you read this verse?
Dayado vishayam pumsaha sangateshu bhajayate sangha sanjayate kamaha kamat krodha bhijayate.
Very good. Yeah. And the translation who will read?
I'll do the proof.
Yeah.
While contemplating the objects of senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises.
Very nicely, the Lord has described. No? Everything starts from contemplating the objects of the senses. So a little bit of contamination in the senses, that automatically that results in lust, and from lust, anger. And then what happens, we'll see. From anger, what happens? Yeah. Who will read the verse?
Can I try, please?
Yeah. Read, Mataji.
Krodhad bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti vibham sad buddhi nasho, buddhi nasat pranashati.
Very good. And translation?
From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool.
So we can see the chain there. From anger, delusion. That is the Kali we saw. And from delusion, bewilderment of memory. Whatever we remember, we might have said, oh, I have read the Bhagavad Gita nicely. But because of anger, we forget whatever read in the Bhagavad Gita as well. And when memory is bewildered, then automatically, because intelligence is a function of memory. How much of the things we remember, that intelligence is there. Otherwise, intelligence is lost. And then finally, we fall down into the material pool. And material pool is nothing but hellish life. It's nothing but hellish life. And same thing, we'll see what is the root of that. I think Shantanu Prabhuji pointed out the root of all this. The root of all this demonic qualities. Nandavaraj Prabhu, can you read this verse?
That's Prabhu.
Yeah.
Sri Bhagavan Vacha Kamaisha Kodarisha Joguna Sambhavaha Mahasarva Mahapampa Vidya Inam Iha Varinam.
Very good. The translation.
The Supreme Person of God has said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world.
So it is lust is born of the material mode of passion. So that's why it is said in the transcendental world, it is pure goodness. There is no contamination. There is no contamination of passion and ignorance. Even a slight bit of passion comes, then automatically, very, very slowly, it turns into lust. Lust becomes wrath, and then we fall into the material pool. And falling into the material pool is nothing but death. Death, which is said here, the fear and death, falling into the material pool. Again, the 16th chapter, he has said that. So what happens when we develop these demonic qualities? Vaikunteshwar Prabhu, again, can you read this verse?
Tammaham drishtva kururan samasresho naradaman shipyami ajasram ashubhan asravicho iva yonishu.
Yes. The translation as well, Prabhu.
Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life.
So the Lord has mentioned. So it is not that the Lord is punishing us. The Lord is saying, okay, this is what we like. He is giving us the situation, what we like. So he's saying, okay, this is the qualities we have. So automatically we are suited to this kind of existence. So he places us there. So automatically the final stage we see a fear and death that is caused by these qualities. And it's a vicious cycle, because we saw where, do you remember where all this began from? Who was the ancestor of all these qualities?
That is Prabhuji, the Devte Vishan Pungsha, that means.
No, in the Bhagavatam, the sons of Brahma, when he says, so who was the son of Brahma? Who was the originator of all these qualities? Irreligion. Remember that irreligion was the quality. Irreligion, then falsity, then that gave birth to all this. So we see how it becomes a vicious cycle. So it becomes very difficult to escape from this. So once we get these qualities, then finally what happens? We see this verse in the Bhagavad Gita again.
That is 7:14. Prabhuji,
16, 18. This verse. Who wants to read this verse?
Can I try?
Yeah, please, Mataji.
Ahankarang balam darpam kamam krodham cha samsritah mam atma paro deheshu pradvishanto bhaya shuyakah.
Very good. Can you read the translation as well? Yeah.
Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion.
Against the real religion. So we saw that. Automatically, we might think, oh, these qualities I'm having, but nothing. I'm not against Krishna. I'm just, these qualities are there. But then what happens is these qualities automatically make us against Krishna. We might think that, oh, I'm just having these qualities, but I am not blaspheming against anything. But automatically the Lord says, when these qualities come in, we automatically go against the religious principles. Religious principles. So you see, irreligion leads to more irreligion. Irreligion gives to all the qualities more irreligion. It's a vicious cycle. So the root we saw, irreligion versus religion. So how would you differentiate between the religion and irreligion? Any of you can say? How would you differentiate? Irreligion versus irreligion. What's the difference? What is religion? What is irreligion?
Religion means love to God, and irreligion
nice.
means against the Lord.
Very nice. Very beautiful, simple, nice meaning. Huh? Even in the Lord Yama also says this. The Prabhupada also quotes this in many of his talks. He says, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam na vai vidur rishayo na api devaha na siddha mukhya asura manushya kutonu vidya dara charana daya. Yeah, very good. So he says, what is religion? Religion is nothing but the rules of God enacted by the Supreme. Whatever is enacted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is religion. Nothing else. So anything which is Krishna, Prabhupada also says, anything which is favorable to Krishna consciousness is religion. Anything which goes against Krishna consciousness is irreligion. Very good. So now we'll see how to give up this. Yes, these qualities are there. How I can give up all these qualities. So that also the Lord very nicely he explains. He says, first of all, why we should give up these qualities. In the Bhagavad Gita says, forget going to Vaikuntha, forget the going to Goloka. Even to live here with sanity, we require to give up these qualities. Okay. So can someone read the translation or the verse as well? Yeah. Nandavesh Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu, Sanokta iva yasodham bhakta sarira vimokashnat kama krodha abhyavam vegam sa yuktam sa sukhanara.
Very good.
Translation. Before giving up the present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world.
Yes. So it is just like being in a prison, no? So best thing is to get out of prison. But okay, we have got a 20-year sentence or 40-year sentence to be in prison. So at least while you are in the prison, we should be happy. So he's telling, if you have to be happy within the prison, he's telling these qualities you have to give up. And obviously, if you have to get out of prison, we have to give up those, definitely have to give up those qualities. Sita Nandini Mataji, can you read this?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Kamo krodho vimuktanam Jyotinang jatchetosam obhito brahmo nirvanang vartate viditatmanam.
Very good. Translation.
Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future.
Very near future. Abhita he says, no? Abhi ho jayega, na? Abhi nikal jaoge jail se, na? That's what the Lord is saying. He's saying those who are free from anger and lust, and who are self-disciplined, obviously, because giving up this quality is quite difficult. So it is self-discipline, the Lord says. So he's saying very, very quickly I'll get you out of prison. Same thing he says in the 16th chapter as well. In the Nalnikant Prabhu, can you read this? Nalnikant Prabhu or Vaikunteshwar Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Nalnikant Prabhu. Yeah, please.
Verse, Prabhu.
Yeah, verse.
Etervumuktah kaunteya tamodvarais acharati atmanah shreyas tato yati param gatim.
Thank you very much. And the translation as well.
Okay, Prabhu. The man who has escaped these three gates of hell, O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains supreme destination.
Supreme destination. So what are the three gates of that prison we saw?
Lust, anger, greed.
Lust, anger, and greed. So he's saying somehow those three dogs you have escaped, which is guarding those gates, lust, anger, and greed. And Lord says, once we escape that, then only the next, only after that we have some hope of escaping from the prison. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. And qualities determine the destination. So we saw earlier, if we have the demonic qualities, the Lord says, okay, this material existence is suitable for us, so He keeps us here. If we have developed the godly qualities, He takes us to, He keeps us in the spiritual world. Yeah. So yeah, just the translation. Can someone read the translation? Vaikunteshwar Prabhu.
The transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation, whereas the demoniac qualities make for the bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with the divine qualities.
Divine qualities. So very, very simply, the Lord says, yes, if you have the demonic qualities, we be in a place where that place is more suited for that. If we have the transcendental qualities or the divine qualities, then obviously we'll be situated in a place where those qualities are most in demand. And same thing even in the Ishopanishad, we see that. Yeah, this is a famous verse again in the Ishopanishad. Who wants to read this verse? This verse, who wants to read? Famous verse from Ishopanishad.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please.
Viddam cha yastad vedohyam sha avidda mittum tirtha vidyam amritam ashnote.
Very good. Yeah. Can you read the translation? Yeah.
Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality.
So in the Ishopanishad it says, so we should learn, we should say you should be very skilled in both, or we should be expert in both, he says. Nescience and that of transcendental knowledge. We should know what takes us away from the spiritual world, what takes us towards the spiritual world. Vidya and avidya. So only then we know what to avoid and what qualities to acquire. And then we can transcend the influence of birth and death. So because many times we wonder why in the Bhagavatam so many verses describing hellish planets, suffering in hell. Do we really need to know all this? Why have they described? So here very nicely it is said, yes, we should know the process. We should know what takes us to hell, what takes us away from hell. Both of that we should know. And how to acquire the godly qualities. So there's a big list of godly qualities. So Shurat Krishna Prabhu also had covered few classes earlier. The godly qualities described in the same chapter, in the first qualities. So it's a big list. So we'll see what all the godly qualities here. We will, yeah. So can someone read the godly qualities in opposition to the demoniac qualities?
Yes, can I read, please?
Yeah.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endued with divine nature.
Divine nature. So again, complete opposite of the other qualities what we've been reading till now. So this is a big list. So definitely it's not very easy to acquire all these qualities. All these qualities are the topmost Bhagavatas. The purpose is it's not an easy target. So how to acquire? How to acquire all these qualities? So what path is what religion is to be adopted to acquire these qualities? What religion? So what religion can anyone say? What religion to be adopted if you want to acquire these qualities?
Sanatan Dharma.
Sanatan Dharma. Yes.
Yeah.
What is Sanatan Dharma?
Loving devotional service.
Loving devotional service. Yes. Prabhupada has explained so nicely in this verse. Yes. Famous verse again. Vishnupadi Mataji. Can you read this verse?
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
Savai pumsam paro dharma yato bhakti radhoksaje ahaituki apratihata yatatma suprasiddhati.
Thank you. Yeah. The translation as well.
The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self.
Very good. Thank you so much. So again, we saw the root of all these demonic qualities is irreligion, as we saw, adharma. So he's saying, okay, so what dharma we should adopt if you have to be free from irreligion? Here, very nicely, Prabhupada has translated this. He's saying the supreme occupation of dharma is to attain to living. He is not saying you become a Hindu or you become a Christian. He is not saying any of these religions. So as Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj says, here Krishna consciousness teaches you, if you are a Muslim, how to be a better Muslim. If you are a Christian, how to be a better Christian. If you are a Hindu, how to be a better Hindu. It's not sectarian. How to attain? Yes, in your following your own religion, if you're able to attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord, then yes, you're following this real occupation. And same thing very clearly the Lord also says in the Bhagavad Gita, which religion to be followed. Nandavaraj Prabhu, can you kindly chant this?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Sarvadharma parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarve papebhyo mokshyami masacha.
Translation.
Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear.
Do not fear. Again, when he's saying abandon all varieties of religion, he's not saying abandon the religious principles. He's saying abandon all the sectarian divisions which we have created, man has created, and basically follow the path of Sanatan Dharma, as Mataji very nicely put it, the eternal religion. And devotional service is the secret. If you want to give up these qualities, yes, one thing is to strive to give up the qualities, but unless we add Krishna to the mix, it is very difficult to give up the negative. We have to add the positive. Yeah. Again, Nalnikant Prabhu, can you read this verse?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Neha Vikramanaşosti Pratyavayo na vidyate Swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat.
Very good. Translation. Yeah.
In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear.
So little advancement, even very little devotional service we practice, automatically we become free from fear and all the other qualities. Yeah. Again, here we'll say, see this verse. So he's saying what we are doing is, he's saying you don't need to think that you're doing this something new. So many great sages have already done this in the past. Again, in another verse also, he says the same thing. So just by engaging in devotional service, they have become free from the cycle of birth and death. Because we saw the result of the religion is death and then hell and pain. So he's saying just by engaging in devotional service, they have become free from the results of work, and they become free from the cycle of birth and death. And they have gone past the state of all miseries. And this is the religious devotional service, which removes all contamination. Because we saw the root of all this is contamination. The root of all this is the mode of passion, lust, anger. This contamination is causing all this. So in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, this contamination, how it can be removed. Nandavaraj Prabhu, again, can you read this verse?
Krishna.
Yeah.
Yanjam eva sada manam yogi virata kalmasha sukhena brahma samprasham atya avyatam sukham asnute.
Very good. Yeah.
Translation. Thus the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord.
So the practice, the acharyas have given us, Prabhupada has given us what is the yoga practice we follow every day. And then that allows us to keep free from material contamination. Because it's just like COVID, the contamination is very much there. And how to insulate or vaccinate ourselves from this contamination, this process they are given. So that we don't even slightly tend towards the irreligious qualities. So which is the great instruction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given in this regard? I'm sure everybody is already aware of that. Which is that? Sitanandini Mataji.
Harir Namo, Harir Namo, Harir Namo,
Yeah.
Kevalam, Kalu, Nastebhu, 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 Gatiram,
Gatir Anyata. But which is the first verse he speaks in the this one?
Cheto
Darpana, yes.
Cheto
because you're talking
Darpana.
about removing the contamination from our heart, no? Yes. Can you read this verse?
Yeah. Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Bhava Mahadavagni Nidvapanam, Sreyo Koirabha Chandrika Vitaranam, Vidya Bodhu Jivanam, Anadam Buddhi Vardhanam, Prati Pradam Purnam Amrita Swadanam, Sarvatma Snapanam, Param Vijayati Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Very good. His supreme instruction, the Lord's supreme instruction.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Can you read the translation as well?
Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar at every step.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So when you're talking about material contamination, any kind of contamination, to protect ourselves, the Lord has given the formula. Just by simply chanting the holy name of the Lord, how we can remain insulated. And again, I know that we are time also is running short. So again, the Lord has very nicely, he said, the Acharyas already set the path for us. We don't need to invent our own path. We don't need to invent our own path. So here in the 4.10, I'll just read the translation, where he says, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, the demonic qualities what we saw, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me. He's saying, what you're doing, I'm not telling you to do something new. I'm not telling you to invent something new, the Lord is saying. This path is tried and tested. Others have followed this path. They achieved success. The Lord is saying, I'm just asking you to repeat or just follow in the footsteps of the others who have already done this earlier. All the great acharyas. Yeah. And this automatically, when we follow this path, it endears ourselves to Krishna. When we follow this path of giving up these qualities, when we give up these qualities, automatically endear us. So we'll just conclude with this verse. Vishnupadi Mataji, can you read this verse?
Yasmanod vijate loko lokanod vijate chayah harshamasha bhayod veger mukto yah sacha me priyah.
Very good. Translation.
He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me.
Very dear to me. So obviously all these other demonic qualities we have seen, the demonic qualities put ourselves in difficulty and put others. Because of us, others are put into difficulty. When we have those qualities like anger and harshness, envy, lust, we trouble others and we get troubled ourselves. So he's saying we don't put others into trouble, and similarly we are not disturbed by others' qualities. Then we are equipoised. Then he's saying this is very and automatically we become fear and anxiety, become free from that, and we become dear to the Lord. So we want to know, okay, all these things we have read. So what is the Falashruti? So Falashruti also very nicely in the Bhagavatam it is given just by reading, learning about these qualities. What is the Falashruti? So we'll conclude with that. Sita Nandini Mataji can read the verse.
Sangrahena maya khayata prati sargastvanagaha tritha sruta vaitat uman punyam vidunnati atmano malam.
Very good. The translation. Yeah.
My dear Vidura, I have summarily explained the causes of devastation. One who hears this description 3 times attains piety and washes the sinful contamination from his soul.
So they have concluded with this verse after talking about all the irreligion and other irreligious qualities. So he's saying just by knowing that these qualities exist and knowing that we need to keep away and somehow avoid these qualities, just by reading this, just by understanding this, he's saying we attain piety. And Prabhupada also says, yes, but we should know what is to be avoided and what qualities to develop. Just by this, both are important. And by this itself, we develop piety. And we whatever contamination is there, that also goes away. So that's how they have concluded this particular section in the Bhagavatam. So yeah, so we'll end there. Unless anybody has any comments or any other points to make.
Oh, thank you very much for a very nice class.
Thank you.
So much quotation from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam to make it more relevant. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Anybody any good question or comments? We still got a few minutes. Okay, there's no comment, no questions. like to thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Poshak Madhav Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada
Thank
ki
you.
jai.
All glories to the devotees. Thank you.
All glories to all devas. Vanchakalpadrubhescha Kipavasanubhescha Patinan Pavnibhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namo.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की
Ki
जय।
jai.